Hey, what's up guys, Quinn here, and today we're gonna be taking a look at this figure. This is the Bootleg NECA Gipsy Danger Ultimate Edition, a knockoff of the same name from the movie Pacific Rim. I love Pacific Rim. My uncle introduced me back in 2013 and I thought that shit is the coolest thing ever. While I don't love it as much as Transformers, I'm still a fan of it and it is one of my favorite movies ever. Pacific Rim the Black was outstanding but lacked in action in my opinion, but at least they make it up in characters and a small scale story. I really wish we could have gotten a sequel to the first movie. You know, change the director, make the Jaegers move like cartoons, focus on cringy characters, and bring back a character from the first movie and completely waste it. Oh, and make it all about setting up a sequels that won't happen. But oh well, that's just the wishful thinking of a fan. Okay, jokes aside though, I don't think Uprising is a bad movie on its own. I still greatly enjoy it and I do rewatch it from time to time. But what about this figure? Well, that's why I am here to talk about it. At first glance, for being a knockoff, this seems pretty good. Like the proportions are correct, there are no ugly knob marks, and the paint is in the right spot. However, that is only at first glance, because once you pick it up... yeah, surprise, it has QC issues. That doesn't bother me at all actually. She can still pull up poses nicely, until you breathe on her wrong. Fuck! But yeah, it definitely needs some repairing to do. It also lacks in the paint department. Compared to the original figure, this knockoff doesn't have much weathering to it, which makes sense. Other unpainted areas are the shoulder lights, the plasma cannon, which we will talk about later. Sure, it doesn't have that shiny coating to it, but I think they did a good job of painting the important parts. If you notice some weird blemishes throughout the review, that's a tissue stuck to a dry superglue. Totally not something else, I can assure you. Speaking of superglue, I should quickly mention why this review took so long to make. As with any new figure I bought, my standard procedure is to look for any breakages or loose joints. If there are loose joints, I'll quickly fix them using the superglue method. Now I have to remind you to be extremely careful if you're using this trick, as any wrong move can easily break the joint. At this point, I've gotten pretty good at using this trick, so there should be no problem, right? Right? Yeah, once I dropped the dab of it on the left hip, it quickly solidified. It wasn't until a couple months later, since I bought the figure, that I got an acetone and dissolved the superglue. Can't say the same for my Brave Wasp figure, that figure is on hold. For a figure that calls itself Ultimate Edition, it better come with tons of accessories, and oh boy, they did. We got a pair of open hands to recreate this scene, hell fucking yeah! A pair of plasma cannons, a pair of chain swords, a flame effect, and a pair of flame swords. What? I don't know why they include this, since this is a weapon used by Obsidian Fury and Gipsy Avenger in the second movie, not Gipsy Danger. But hey, free accessory. To use the plasma cannon, simply remove the arm and plug the cannon in. Remember when I said that some of the area on the plasma cannon is unpainted? Yeah, the tip is unpainted, what the fuck? To be fair, the paint surrounding the forearm is nicely done, but not the tip? The one thing that stood out in the whole goddamn movie? Alright, now I'm just nitpicking, but they could at least try to paint it. But it's not a big deal honestly, it's something that bothers me only. The chain swords connect to a slot on the forearm, now this is awesome! You can do the same with the flame sword too if you want to. And finally, the flame effect. Simply plug it into the chest, allowing Gipsy to safely land after falling from the edge of space. God, such a cool scene! Or use it to blow up a kaiju, Iron Man style. Now the flame effect on its own is already a cool addition, but you know what else that could make it even cooler? Lights. Simply unplug the chest and press on the button. You can remove it and I recommend putting it in this orientation, that way the light is perfectly in the middle. This uses two LR41 batteries if you're curious. Now here comes the problem. Not every copy of this knockoff has LED lights. I've seen some reviews where the LED is absent and it's just an empty space instead. So it's basically a gamble if you want the LED included. For all the figure's fault, I still like it. If I can fix the joints, then I'll love it even more. But as it stands, it's an okay knockoff at its best. So, what about the posability? Alright, this guy has really problematic QC issues. So, there are some areas that are so tight or stiff and the others are just too loose. So anyway, the first is head's on a ball joint. It's on a double ball joint on the neck and the base of the neck and on the head itself, but it is super stiff. So if you want to move it, just remove the chest like earlier and then just move it around and then the light fell off and just
rotate it basically and stuff like that. I recommend you heat gun this or use a hair dryer to soften the plastic up, but I don't have a hair dryer, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, and I add some oil to it. It doesn't work really. It doesn't really work great, but it's just a small solution to fix it. Then the shoulder is on a, I think it's on a ball joint, something on the inside. It can do full 360 rotation. It can move out about that far before being hindered by the shoulder pad over here. The shoulder pad can also move a little bit. Yeah, move about that far. Not that much range. We have a bicep swivel. We have a single jointed bend at the knee that goes 90 degrees, and I would like to point out that this one is a bit deformed. I don't know if you can see that, but the camera, yeah, as you can see, it's a bit deformed, and out of the box, it's actually deformed. I cannot bend my elbow not to 90 degrees. The left one is fine. The right one is fine, but the left one is deformed. So, yeah, KO and stuff like that. Yeah, you have a hand over here. You can do swivel and stuff like that. Here's like the SH figure stuff, which also can go in. Even if you rotate the ball joint, you can go like up and down, stuff like that. But it's super stiff, and sometimes it won't budge. We have a torso swivel or stuff like that, and it is very loose, like very loose. It's just I don't know, I want to hate it, but at the same time I don't really use it that much, so it's fine. The legs can kick forward about that far, and it can go back about that far. It can do the splits, but barely. Yeah, you can do the splits about that far, so not that great also as well. We also have a thigh swivel, which is pretty good range. I really like it. And a double jointed bend at the knee. And sometimes this one's too tight. Sometimes it won't activate. There we go. It's activating. If this black part is moving, that means it's activating. I think the right leg is, well, there we go. Yeah, it's supposed to look like that instantly, which is nice. And we have a toe articulation. Also, you can see the deep toe bend, really nice. It's actually on a ball joint. It can swivel around the feet. The feet can swivel around, can move up about a little bit, and then back, not a lot. And I want to say there's an ankle pivot, but the range is very small, so I would say no ankle pivot whatsoever. Yeah, the toes are not sturdy. The head is super stiff. The left knee is loose. This one is loose, like the double joint. The ankles are loose. Also, something cannot hold this post. The left bicep is deformed, and yes, the legs are loose. As you can see, it's quite wobbly. So yeah, in terms of posability, even if the joints are not loose, it's very limited. Like that, I think that's what most NECA figures suffers from, because the posability are just very limited compared to like something like Robot Damashi from Bandai. I'm not gonna blame the KO for the limited articulation, but I will definitely blame NECA for this. And yeah, I mean, Gipsy Danger doesn't pull off any dynamic poses in the movie, I think, other than when he slices off the kaiju near the breach, or I think that's the only thing I was doing that dynamic, I think. Yeah, so limited articulation, but something that I'm not really that bothered by. Yeah, I forgot to mention, since this shoulder is on a ball joint, that means it has a butterfly in and out. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Just want to quickly add it. For size comparison, here is alongside my SH Figuarts Marvel Spider-Man, my previous review, the GYH Toys Commander, Bioware Star Leader, and Bloki's 07 Optimus Prime, which is my next review. So, what are my thoughts? I don't think you should buy this. This figure has so many QC issues that I don't think the average people have the knowledge or time to fix it. I would recommend this if it had tighter joints, but that's not the case, huh? If you don't mind the loose joints, or if you want to make a custom painted version, then yeah, it's not a bad pickup. But for the average consumer, I don't think you should pick this up, even for how cheap it is. Just get the original if you can. Just gonna be my review of the Bootleg NECA Gipsy Danger Ultimate Edition. I hope you enjoyed it and find this review useful, and I'll see you guys next time.